Communists love birthright citizenship and open borders. Communists are hiding in the United States, in the West. There are communists all around the world. Birthright citizenship creates loopholes that give incentives to bad people to infiltrate a country and push their agenda. And for the most part, we know that communists and Marxists do not have good intentions for humanity. All they care about is power and control. They want to be like gods. They want to be feared and worshipped. Alright? The US has a unique geographic location, and Latin America, Mexico is bordered with the US. So, with open borders, people from Latin America can easily come into the US. But people from different locations like Africa, Europe, New Zealand cannot come to the US just like that easily. It's harder for them to come to the US. But now communists, they love control, they love power, and they don't have good intentions for humanity. Communists like to rule the world, and they like to enslave other people. So, of course, with an open border, people can come to the US, But when you are in the US illegally, if you give birth to a child, he or she is not gonna have US citizenship because you, the parents, are in the US illegally. So that child is pretty much destined to be a slave, just like you, the parents, because you are in the US illegally, so you can't really have access to the same opportunities as an American citizen. But now, here comes the communist. The communists, it's a network all around the world. They have solidarity. And those communists, they have infiltrated every single country in Africa, in Europe, in America, in Latin America, in Canada, in Oceania. Communists have infiltrated every aspect of our lives. So those are the ones that are diplomats. They hold political positions in those countries. They hold business positions, executive positions everywhere. So those communists, they can easily come to the US on a visa because it's easy for them. The average African does not have access to, getting a visa and travel to the US. It's too much. It's a long process. You gotta have, you gotta have a good job, show bank statements, and many other things that the majority of Africans do not qualify for. But the communists in Africa, they qualify for it. They can easily get their diplomatic passports or just get a visa and then come to the US. And when you are in the US legally, when you enter the US legally on a visa or something like that, if you give birth to a child in the US when you are here illegally, that child can have US citizenship. And then you, the parents, can benefit from the chain migration system. You get a green card, you get a US residency, and if you decide to, you can become a US citizen in the future. Alright? But here's the kicker. Now, those children of communists being born in the US, those are going to become grown adults one day too. And they're going to be US citizens. They're going to grow up in the USA. Yesterday, I've talked about the crimes that the African diplomats commit in Africa. It's very big crime. The scope of the crime is tremendous. So those people, they steal public funds. They basically oppress people in Africa. They are responsible for the oppression, for the misery, for the living hell, for the shithole that's happening in Africa. And they are also responsible for mass migration that's affecting you as an American citizen, because when they don't fix their countries back home, now this causes people to try to come to the US, to France, to the UK, just like that. But if they fixed their countries back home, people wouldn't have had to immigrate like that in mass. Because when people immigrate like that in mass, that creates saturation in every aspect of your life in the US. Now you have to compete for the same jobs, for the same houses, for the same opportunities, for the same groceries, foods, all these things. Everything becomes expensive, life becomes harder. And the only people that benefit from that are the communists, the political leaders, the business, the corporations, because they get paid more while underpaying people. Because if everyone is fighting for the same jobs, the same opportunities, they can afford to basically pay people low wages. They don't care because people are desperate for opportunities. Okay, anyways, those communists will have children in the US now. And those same children, they're gonna be your next congressmen and women because they are US citizens. And because communists, they train their children. It's a network. It's a network. Just think about, like, if the Nazis from Germany, some of them ran away to Argentina, to the US, to other places. Now think about if those Nazis, those German Nazis, gave birth to in the US, and they have children in political office today. They have congressmen and women, you know. Or even, like, some of them can even, like, you don't see them running for political office, but they are working in the background. They are the advisors of those political leaders, those congressmen and women, you know. Anyways, so, like, those children, when they grow up, those are going to be your next congressmen and women. They're going to be running your federal agencies. It's going to be them. They're going to be making policies that affect your life, that affect the life of your children, of your grandchildren. It's going to be those people. They're going to be oppressing you. And then now I've mentioned in the beginning of this video, like, how communists only care about power and control. So, and they love open borders and birthright citizenship, because birthright citizenship benefits them, because they can come to the US legally and drop babies like that and raise American citizens. Meanwhile, the open border is bringing up more slaves, because those ones that are coming illegally do not qualify for US citizenship no matter what. They're going to be dreamers for life. For life, they're going to be dreamers. So, they basically are destined to work minimum wage, to work slave wage for the rest of their lives. So, like, now, those communists that grew up, that became adults, those same communists now, they're going to use those illegals, they're going to use those dreamers as leverage against American citizens, against you. Because you want to get paid fairly, but they don't want to pay you fairly. Because all they care about is power. They're greedy. Because if they pay you fairly, you're going to be independent. And you're not going to be relying on them. But them, they have an agenda to control humanity, to control you. So if you are independent, you're not going to be obedient to them. You're not going to obey to their mandate, to their tyranny. But if you are dependent on them, then you are under their control. So of course, they're going to use those illegals, the migrants, the dreamers, against you. Look at what happens to the construction industry. American citizens used to be paid fairly, to be paid well, but after a few years, now who is doing construction is being taken over by immigrants from other countries. A lot of people from Latin America do construction, and the ways and why and how were they able to drive American citizens out of that industry? How? by decreasing the wages, making the wages unfair to the point where American citizens do not really see the benefits in doing that, because they're gonna be working like that, but they're not gonna be able to afford a living like that, to buy a house or to raise a family. So it became unprofitable for American citizens, and then now it's discouraged American citizens from doing those kind of jobs, those kind of work. And after 20 years of that condition, people, Americans, stop going to school to learn construction, going to trade school to learn this skill or something like that. And then now today, even if they say that they're gonna deport illegals or they're gonna pay people fairly, there's gonna be a shortage of workers, but it's been done by design. The shortage of workers is because for 20 years they have discouraged American citizens from doing this kind of job because it wasn't profitable. So American citizens stopped wasting their time to learn, like by law, like there was no benefits in spending time learning those skills if it's not going to make you any money. So like now you don't have people doing construction because not because they don't have the skill, or because not because they don't want to do it, no, not because they can't do it, but it's because they haven't been encouraged. There has not been no incentive to do it in 20 years. So even if today they want to hire American citizens to do this kind of work, it might take some years because they have to train them again. But yeah, again, the point is communists love birthright citizenship and open borders. Now, I'm going to talk more about this topic in the future, but let me know what you guys think about this conversation, about this topic, yeah, just let me know. Yeah, cool.